Before walking through the process in real time of building up the components and wiring them up to the XML database on the outside and the various resources, I thought we'd take a look at the md.fla file. And if you look inside here, you'll see there are a number of items that have been placed into the interface. We don't see any of the content that we actually see display in the interface, but what we see are what is called a series of components. There are primarily three kinds of components that are inside this particular file, and they include a series of text areas. And you'll notice if I select any of these text areas, they all have been given a unique name that makes it possible to communicate with them. And in this case, the name of each of these components matches the tags that are inside the XML database. So we have our project text field, our location text field, our construction text field, our type text field, a description text field, and then we have three loaders. And a loader is a kind of component that allows either JPEGs or SWIFTs to be loaded from an external reference. The third most important component here is a combo box, and it basically acts like a pull-down menu. And we're going to use the results of the combo box, we pull down and select something, as connection between the database in the XML file and these various fields. And when we pull down and select something like Blue Box, for example, it'll retrieve all of the information from the XML database associated with Blue Box, and then fill either the strings of text into the various text field boxes, or retrieve the images and SWIFT files from the directories outside and install them in the loaders. Now, to make this all possible, we have to use something called an XML connector, and you see that located here on the stage. This does not render at runtime, and it basically serves the purpose of connecting the database up to the Flash interface. This has been deprecated in version CS5. It still works, but you'll have to open my file and retrieve it from the library to drag into your file. The reason why this is missing is there's an attempt to push everything in the direction of ActionScript 3, and there isn't a connector yet created for that, and so the whole thing has to be written in ActionScript, and it's definitely a chore that I don't think any of you would want to undertake. Now, key to making this work, you'll notice this is a very simple timeline. There's very little ActionScript here. The only piece of ActionScript that we find is actually in the main timeline, and if I roll up my actions, you'll see there's a number of things inside here we're not going to cover at the moment. I'll come back to those shortly, but very key, an absolute essential piece of ActionScript is the ActionScript that tells the XML connector to fire and link up to the XML database and then retrieve its information. So this is a must-have for this to be able to work. The other ActionScript in here tells the various text fields to change their styles to be different font weights or types, or changes the background color of one of the text fields. And this is something that we can spend a little bit of time on after reviewing the rest of the database. So to retrieve components, there's a component menu which can be found under the Windows, and the components that we're actually making use of, all of these require some special skill and instruction, so I'd advise you not to get overly ambitious without consulting first. The key components are the text area, which is what's being used here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. The loader, which is being used here 1, 2, 3 times. And in one case it pulls in a SWIFT file, and in two other cases it pulls in an image file. We're using the combo box, which is located over here. And then, of course, if you're using an older version of Flash, you'll see a category for data, and that's where we'd find the XML connector. Of course, it still works in this version, but you'll have to retrieve it from the library. And so if you open up the MD file inside your own file, you can find it inside here, XML connector, and then just drag it out into the environment.